All right, welcome back to Lockdown Sports. Every day of the Euros, Jono and me, Param, are waking up at an ungodly hour, 5 a.m., to watch the last game of the World Cup. And I think Jono's failed a little bit today, woke up at some point in the first half.
Yeah,
France beats Austria 1-0, thanks to a bit of luck, a bit of Kylian Mbappe magic, whatever you want to call it. It was a very stressful game, and we'll get into why France is the way they are, why Mbappe doesn't defend, and all of that. Floor is yours, Jono. Man of the match. What are you saying? I think
it's
there's
a
been a
no-brainer.
message in the group chat.
Yeah, it's an absolute no-brainer. It's N'Golo Kante, an
Hmm?
absolute vintage performance from the man. My blue back in London. That's my real blue right there. He
Okay.
absolutely bossed that midfield today. Any loose ball he recovered. Any half break he was there. He provided so much security for them, won them the ball back, and was able to get them going in transition as well. And even running, making his runs forward, he was a threat as well.
Mm.
And yeah, it was great to see after his move to Saudi that he still got it, playing the full 90 as well. Absolute vintage performance from him.
The problem that I've always had with Mbappe and stuff sort of just lingering forward is like, what are you meant to do with all this space? And I think first half, Rabiot was actually very decent at recovering the ball, tracking back. But even then, if you've got Kante, you've got Rabiot, right? It's not enough. You're playing against a 4-2-3-1. Any sort of midfield now has at least three or four guys occupying that sort of space. And to cover it with two guys, yes, the centre backs did well in terms of blitzing
Hmm.
out when they need to, but Kante won the ball back a lot today.
If
And
this is the version of Kante you're getting, I'm happy to take him 3-on-1 against anyone.
yeah, the thing is, we'll get into the other midfield options shortly, but
Hmm.
there is a lot that France could be doing with this midfield. If they were to drop Kante and Rabiot, they could probably still put out a very good midfield. So we'll get into it. But Mbappe, first half, second half, the whole game, sort of just in and out of the game, as
Yeah,
he is,
he wasn't
a bit of a
really there.
moments player.
Yep.
But the first half, and the reason why France didn't really shoot, I guess, and the whole game, they're just being fouled constantly. Edge of the box. I think Dembele, before he got subbed off, I'll check it now. He was fouled three times. That was all in the first half. Mbappe was fouled
Yep.
twice in the first half. Marcus Thuram fouled three times in the first half. So you've already got eight fouls in a half, two yellow cards in the back line. And yes, they were poor on set pieces, but if they can do this to any team, it'll sort of
Yeah.
just kill the game. It'll lead to less aggressive defending, like you saw yesterday against Harry Kane. If Milenkovic got a yellow card nice and early, you don't see him being as physical in the post. So
Yeah.
I think they were promising in the first half. You just need to see some shots go off now for them, and it was really interesting how Mbappe's the left winger, but as soon as they've
Mm.
lost the ball, they've swapped straight away, so Mbappe doesn't have to track back.
Yeah.
I don't know how do you feel about this, because it gets the best out of him going forward, but a lot of question marks the other way.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can't change it too much. Like, even if you expect him to come back on defense, he's not going to. And
Mm,
in attack, he switched up quite a bit from left wing to striker with
mm,
Thuram. But I don't think that's the issue. I feel like the front three they had today is not reliable at all for the attack if they want to go through the whole tournament. Dembele, he's never really performed on the big stage at all. Even though he's got the skills and the two
mm.
footedness, he's never that clinical. He's always making mistakes. And Thuram as well. No matter how much space he had, he always had to try and go to his right foot, and
Yeah,
that
I
quite
think
limited
he
him
was he was
all the
very
time.
scripted
Yeah,
with his
absolutely.
1v1 play today.
I felt like they were very predictable. And then in the second half, especially, Griezmann wasn't really anywhere to be seen. They played wide the whole half, and I feel like he barely got any touches on the board. Did not feel an impact from him at all, which is something you don't say when France is playing at their best.
Yeah, 100%. And I think part of that is that this team is very bipolar, John. Like, there's a few players capable of so much magic, and then there are
Yeah.
players that are just moving the ball along. As much as we're going to rave about Kante today, he's not ever going to be a creative player by nature. Rabiot, Koundé at right back. You've got Theo Hernandez, probably the only guy, and I think
Yeah.
Mannion actually had the keeper had a great performance today in terms of spreading the ball long in that second half. But
Yeah, he was
Theo's the
quick with
only
it.
guy. Theo's the only guy in that back 6-7 that you sort of trust as a creator. So Griezmann's not really getting the ball sometimes. He's always going to be available for it. I don't think he's ever been shy in terms of getting the ball, picking it up.
No.
I just think those passes need to be getting fed through to him a little bit more often. And we might as well do it now, John. We had Kante and Rabiot today, but let's run through the options that we had because this is a squad and a half. So there's your lineup there. You've got Kante, Rabiot, and Griezmann as the midfield three, basically.
Yeah.
And we've got Camavinga who subbed on. We had Fofana from Monaco subbed on just to close out the game. And you've also got Tchouaméni and Zaire Emery. That is a squad and a half in terms of midfielders. 4 options just for those 2 spots. What do you think the strongest 2 is? Because we know Griezmann's a lock. What are the other 2 for
I
you?
think after the performance today, you've got to make Kante a lock. And I'm happy to go with either Camavinga or Tchouaméni, depending on how you want to play against that specific matchup, to be honest.
That's the thing. I feel like Camavinga and Tchouaméni, coming from club level as well, sure they haven't played midfield together as often as you would expect in any other team, but I just feel like the chemistry is there, and those individual moments, Camavinga can take people one-on-one reliably if needed, and then you've got Tchouaméni, who literally capable of long shots, capable of patrolling the back line, dropping in as a third centre back. Everything you need from a defensive midfielder, he's got it. He's got the size, he's got the girth, the tonnage, all of that Rabiot provides with a bit more impotence going forward as well. So I think that would be my 2. But like you said, based on today, Kante, I'm okay with. I don't know if you remember, but remember
Okay
back in there's just more you can do. And you talked about the front 4 being a problem, not being reliable. I think the ball just needs to get to their feet a bit more.
Well, it's more so the front 3. I still trust Griezmann. Mbappe, of course, you trust him, but he still has not scored in a Euro. It's been 5 games now. Is he built for the big moment, bro? Is he built for the big moment?
Is Mbappe built for the big moment? Yeah. Let's see. We'll find out if he is, because they've got Netherlands next up. And just on the flip side, we'll talk about Austria, I guess. A very solid performance. When Ralph Rangnick was announced, I despise the man because he first of all he was an interim Man United manager, okay, and what do interim managers do? They're meant to keep stuff simple, okay, and he comes in first day, decides we're now just a high pressing team, we're going to completely switch up the formation, make some of these young players play a position that they've never played before. Pathetic way to be an interim manager, in my opinion. But a lot of the stuff he said about United was true. The open heart surgery, I think he was definitely right. And I think that's what he's done with Austria. He's really coached this team into the ground. They seem like one of the most best drilled teams so far we've seen this week.
Yeah, for sure. For the moments where I got to see them pressing and stuff, they were pressing really effectively, really well. They were pushing that ball back, which against a team like France reduces the threat a lot, because one simple mid-range ball can destroy with Mbappe up there with his pace. And as you saw, he had that break and somehow he didn't even hit the target. I don't know how in that 50th minute. But yeah, so easily. But the way they pressed, they really limited a lot of the threat from France today, and they almost got away with a draw, maybe even a win, depending on how efficient they could have been. But
It gave me murmurs, PTSD of the Switzerland game last Euros for France. Just
Yeah.
of course, a lot of people blame Pogba for that loss,
No,
which is
who does that? No, who does that?
you're a terrible human being.
No.
Anyways, but the problem is not so much who's in midfield; it's the lack of numbers. It's the lack of numbers because even towards the end of today, you see as soon as Kante commits forward, because Griezmann is always going to have a high chance of being forward. As soon as one of
Yep.
the other ones goes, now you've got a really empty midfield. And
Mm.
as much as I love Koundé, as much as I love Saliba, Upamecano, and these guys can do it at club level, they're good. I don't
They were
trust them
pretty
one v
talented.
one. I don't
Yeah.
trust them 1v1 when those moments are happening because
Yeah.
of what I've seen in the past. And
Yeah.
I know Saliba wasn't there at the last Euros, so hopefully he provides that newfound composure in that back line because when Kim Pembe was running the show, I was not satisfied with this France
Mm.
team at the back.
Look, if they're in that position, all they got to do is hold that
Mm.
player for like about 2 or 3 seconds, and N'Golo will come flying out of nowhere and get that ball.
It was mesmerizing seeing that happen.
Dude, it was
I'm
insane.
almost tempted to keep Rabiot
Insane.
or one of the weaker passers in the squad because it will
Like
bring
in
out
the
more
11
moments
you're
of
saying, or
brilliance. Huh?
like in the starting 11.
Yeah, like I'm tempted to
That's
like weaken the squad around Kante just so that I can watch Kante
Oh,
moments like that.
yeah, right. But I feel like you could play Camavinga or Tchouaméni with Kante in that
Oh,
deeper line too.
100%. I was just joking. I was just saying it would be funny if you make the squad worse just to watch more
Oh, right.
Kante defending highlights.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, let's wrap it up. We've got the man of the match. Do you think Austria is going to be above the Netherlands? Because I don't think you were overly impressed with Netherlands last night.
No, not really, but they still created so many chances, and I think it'll be a similar style game to
Mm,
what Austria provided, but with Virgil leading their back line, I think they'll
mm.
be able to close it out and get that win as well against Austria and
Yeah,
finish
that that
probably second in the
that's
group.
that's where my mind was at because they, as nice as Austria were, I don't think they were a consistent goal threat.
No, never.
Especially, I don't think Netherlands will have a Kylian Mbappe problem in terms of tracking back. So I think there'll be a lot more
Yeah,
of a routine lineup defending. So I
yeah,
think it'll be
sure.
harder to break down. And like you said, Virgil, uh, is it De Vries they've got? Who do they play? They played Ake at left back.
Debris and
Yeah,
Virgil in the midfield
yeah.
at center, and then Dumfries on the right.
Dumfries on the right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think three of those four guys I trust with my life, I guess, at the back, relatively speaking, in international football. And I think, yeah, as a whole, they'll be a lot more solid than you'll see a France team. And
Yeah.
we were talking about it yesterday, John. We're sort of angling towards that England versus France quarterfinal,
In the semi, I think, isn't it?
quarter or semi, whatever it is. Um, both teams not looking
Not convincing at all.
fluent on the ball. And to be honest, I'd say England was better
I was about to say
than
the exact same thing.
France.
Yeah, if we
And
compare France from today, England from yesterday, England
mm,
had the better performance for sure.
yeah, I'm not too worried because we're not doing any sort of like ESPN power rankings for this. But if we are angling towards that sort of matchup, maybe that stuff does matter in that moment. Who is playing more fluid? Who does know the rhythm of their team? But
Yeah,
I would also caveat that with saying France has never had a rhythm about them, going all the
yeah.
way
I
back
mean,
to
they,
the
they do.
2018
It's all
World
vibes.
Cup.
That is the rhythm.
Yeah, and ever since a certain midfielder
Was caught cheating? Caught cheating? Yeah. Say it again. Come on.
retired with
Show us the
grace,
jersey. Show
retired
us the
with
jersey.
grace. Nah,
With
we're not
grace.
doing that.
That's
Retire
crazy.
with grace. Yeah, this midfield is not capable of those individual moments. I saw a through ball in the first half, John, played through to Griezmann, and I knew he didn't have that turbo button in him anymore. Okay, these are different players, the ones that we've grown up and sort of watched over the last 10 years now. Griezmann is different. Kante still got it, but all
Thought he
these
was
younger
different,
guys,
but he clearly still has it. Yeah.
all these younger guys, we talk about individual brilliance being the killer for France. Mbappe is the only one we trust. Like you said at the start of the video, Ousmane Dembele, you need to step up. You need to step up because first half I was happy with him. I was satisfied. He was the difference maker in terms of getting them into the final third. The set pieces from Griezmann were pretty underwhelming, but I think Dembele should be able to replicate this against the Netherlands because I don't think Ake, Daley Blind, whoever they put out there on that left flank, wants any of his smoke.
I think Ake could cope with him if he plays smart because he's got the pace. And Dembele's not always clinical, like I said. He's not always got that fine touch or whatever he's dribbling or that
he
final
gets
pass.
separation. It's just what he does with the separation that I've always been worried about. So
yeah, exactly. Like
1v1, I'm taking him over Ake. I'm taking him over.
That's fair. Look, I was happy from a friend's perspective when he got subbed off today, and then Colin Moani comes on, and he's just a one-footed version of Dembele. That's what he looked like on the pitch. I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
it's going to be interesting. You've got the three striker options, right? You've got Giroud, who's going to actually be a part of your system and essentially just be a focal point that you can play off. And then you've got Thuram and Kolo Muani, who can do a bit of that, but their game is more getting through on goal, being the guy to take the shot, as opposed to Giroud, where he's happy not shooting at all.
If I'm France, I would be starting Giroud from now on and playing Mbappe off the left.
Yeah.
That's what has worked so well for them. Obviously, you're not going to play Giroud the full 90, maybe like 60, 65 max. And then you get the young legs on and then move Mbappe to the middle or let him roam around a bit more. But that when they got Giroud, Mbappe, Griezmann up there, the link up is always good. They got the chemistry there. They've done it before on many occasions. And I'd go back to that because what I saw today from that front three, there's no way I can rely on that to go deep in this tournament and win it, which is their goal.
You say that, but there was a little World Cup final a couple years back where Giroud and Dembele subbed off. Kolo Muani and Thuram stepped up,
Stepped up and should have won it in regular time, if you recall.
They stepped up big time. And Party's in the comments.
What's he
Let's
saying?
see how badly Mbappe's nose is cooked up. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like he'd just play with a face mask.
Yeah.
I think he'd get on with it. Whether it would affect him or not, I don't know. We'll see. Mbappe's built for the moment. I'm not entertaining any of this 0 goals in the Euros drought. I think he will fix up very shortly. Hey, if he was the penalty taker in the last Euros, he'd be on like 3 or 4 goals. This would not be a conversation. But we'll wrap it up there. N'Golo Kante is your man of the match. France wins, as they always do, unconvincingly. But they have a habit of doing it, so we respect it. That's it from Lockdown Sports. Every day we're doing a review of the last kickoff. Tune in, hit the subscribe button. That's it for now.
See you tomorrow.